Shima'ini etlutu Shima'ini yashi Shima'ini Shibut Ari Grabshi Uruk Shima'ini Yashi Anakku ama Enkidu Idriyabaki Kima Lalariki Unambasarti Hasin ahia tuklat idia namsar shipia haritu shakwania luba isanatia nibish Lale Sharu Lemnu Itba Itikma Shanim Duma Nilu Shada Nisbatuma Ala Niyar Mushalpitu Humba Shaiva Kishti Erevi Ashvu
Hello Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Children of the Cup. I am your DMGM storyteller, whichever you would like to call me, Forgotten Dreams, and I am joined by a lovely cast of people. On this week, I will not be showing my lovely face, but that's okay. I have these beautiful people alongside me to show their faces instead, you know, because I pressure them into these things. But we're going to start with Azzy.
Hello, I'm also known as Cecira, and I am playing Cecilia of Montfort, a Semish that does no bad things at all.
No bad things whatsoever. Definitely did not discover her powers in a very, very, very dark way. All right. So, next up, we have the good old fuck the party. The Jala.
Probably me. Yep. Hello, I'm the very, very tired Sephoriel, so forgive me if I look tired on camera today. I'll be playing a Jala who indeed has a tendency to do shit that brings the rest of the group into a damn goddamn load of trouble.
Oh yeah, it's just
that
piling
would
on.
be me.
All right, let's see, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. You know what? We'll go. Mel, you're our newest member. We'll let you go before Jay this time.
Hi, I am Mel, and I am playing Chimeg, and I am an Anda, and I know exactly what is going on, and so does Chimeg.
Absolutely, 100%, 1,000% even. She's known you since you were born. Little known fact. Anyways, she's actually your original sire. Next, but definitely not least, we have the myth, the legend, the Jay, the burrito.
I am Jay. I'll be playing Serafino of the clan La Sombra. Woo! And I definitely have kinks for tentacles.
That's very true. Although we have not seen those tentacles in some time, which is, for certain members of our audience, very sad indeed.
Yeah, those could have helped us. We needed the hentai tentacles.
Yeah, the hentai tentacles would have done really well for these last couple of incidents that really got the party in some interesting situations. Also, little side note, these people are playing characters. They are not the characters themselves. They are players portraying a character. So try not to be hurt about what the characters do. Or if you do, take it out only on the characters, not my lovely players. They're just here to be good people and have fun. Last but not least, the DM is also, much like Seth, very tired, which means shenanigans might ensue. We'll see. Either way.
When don't they?
You know, sometimes the DM doesn't even have to work for shenanigans. It's just passed out. Either way.
It just happens.
Giving us our recap for this week was going to be Jay. However, Jay has made a secretive deal with the DM. And instead, the DM is going to choose at random. No, actually, he's not. He's just going to choose Mel, because she's probably the better note taker.
All right. Well, last time we returned to the manor, and where we got Ajala back from Torpor. Woo. And we had a few interesting conversations, and Ayala didn't really want to share as much as Cecilia wanted, but we did tell our sire, well, our adopted sire, about the situation that they had put themselves in, and to some degree at least. And yeah, some conversations were had and some plans were starting to be made. And I think we left off when we were about to return to Jerusalem.
Fantastic. All right. Would anyone like to add anything in that they think is relevant and should be brought up for the recap?
I would say that just to remind people of what was happening, that Ajala was supposed... Well, Cecilia asked Ajala to go and... It basically was she asking, why didn't you tell her adopted sire about what had happened and why this vampire had made into a crystal heart? And Ajala said, okay, he would tell it, but he was afraid that his crystal heart would be stolen. So on his way over, he decided to consume it, and by that also consuming the powers it held. And things just got more complicated from that point, because Cecilia was not happy with the amount of information shared, so we shared almost everything after that. And our options on how to handle the situation was reduced because we didn't have a heart to trade with anymore, because the heart had been crumbled to dust. And this was the thing, Adjala very sneakily lied and said it had been broken when he was placed in torpor. The only issue for Adjala, which Cecilia did not reveal yet at least, is that she had already gone through his gear when she was resetting all his bones and knew that the heart was actually whole.
Jala's so convinced that he's lied his ass off
And
and that
so
everyone
are
believes him.
the other party members are also very convinced in the lie that you provided, especially the new one. The new one, Chip Chip Cheerio, you've done it. You've lied, and you've done it successfully. Where the fuck did your DM come up with Chip Chip Cheerio? I don't know.
Me neither.
I don't even know what that means, but moving on. So, I believe we left off with both Cecilia and Adjala making their way out of Bartholomew's chambers, his personal chambers, which they had visited twice this night. Having had that conversation, gone downstairs to the dining hall, and then it was revealed by Adjala that Heart go bye-bye. After some stealthy roguery of trying to use some kitchen fireplace ash, I believe.
Yeah.
So we pick up there. Cecilia handing the bag back over to Adjala, in the back of her mind knowing that you have just completely and utterly lied and possibly even deeply hurt her. But, please, take it away.
Alright, so we have talked a lot about what we might do and might not do. We still need to get back to Jerusalem. And yeah, is there any one of the options that someone of you thinks are better than the other?
I actually don't know. I mean,
Zin,
Yeah.
your last plan sounds like the way to go.
yeah.
So we try to we meet her, we tell that we have found what has happened to him, but we don't want to disclose that because that will harm in some way someone of interest to us.
Exactly.
And we try to bargain for dropping the investigation.
Mm-hmm.
And then hope that we can get something from there.
If that goes to shit, we trash the place. And then we leave.
But I don't think we're gonna meet her at her home, and I'm not sure you want to crash the place with two golems.
No, you had it right the first time. Gargoyles. I
panic.
fucked up the last
Yeah.
session. Yeah.
I know, but he said
Gargoyles, yeah.
golems, that's why
I was thinking gargoyles or golems.
Yeah, no,
Did
it's
he
gargoyles.
say gargoyles last session, but yes, you said wrong?
Gargoyles and
That was your
golems, the
DM
new
slip up.
RPG.
It would have been
All right.
gargoyles. My apologies.
Then she would have also said gargoyles.
Fantastic. One of which I believe the party has had a brief run-in with. If you remember early on in your wonderful
We all did, I think.
vampire careers, well, one of you is very new and did not have that experience.
Okay, yes.
Yes, you have to remember there are other kindred at the table. But yes, you had a run-in with, I believe, a large statue of a female angel within the halls that led to the meeting hall of the essential city council that resides over Jerusalem, which has not met in some time, at least to your knowledge. It could have, of course, met beforehand during your misadventures, but you were not present or made aware of any such meetings. But please, go ahead.
Alright, shall we get a move on?
What was this thing about the glass you talked about? Didn't you say you needed to get that anyway?
Yeah, that it would be. If they drop the investigation, then I guess it's safe to leave the glass where it is. They've got a pane of glass, which basically Vitae and fire don't go well together. Which resulted in a pane of glass instead of a bloodstain on the floor. In the sand. They have that pane of glass, and they plan on using that in order to look into whatever actually happened. Using their magics. Or their, they like to call it at the Tremere apparently, their Wingardium Leviosa.
Angelica can take a single bonus experience.
Sorry,
I'm
what?
shitting you. I'm shitting you. You cannot. No, I would not do my other.
I was
bonus
about to ask,
expense.
wait, what?
Everyone can get the willpower instead because
I will allow that.
Right.
That I will allow.
That's
I will
very,
100%
very,
allow
very
that.
good idea.
You regain. How about this? You regain up to half of your max willpower. If that brings you to full, you stop at full.
Okay.
So take what your current willpower rating is at its fullest. Go ahead and half that and add that back to your willpower pool if you used any.
Clean willpower. Nice. Thank you.
That's a DM tired one-time offer. All right.
Yes.
I should have spent more willpower.
I haven't spent any, so I'm good.
All right.
Spent some for the first time in a while. Well, haven't in a while, but there was still some damage left on the willpower.
Absolutely.
All right. So, Jerusalem then. And,
Yes.
Spend the day there because it's soon gonna be day when we come there. When we come back.
Yeah.
And contact Mara and try to. I think we should try to have the meeting not in her place in case she doesn't like what we are about to tell.
Should we say our place, the Painted Lady?
Sure. Something like that. Somewhere public where if things comes to worse, at least we won't fight.
Or we will fight and kill loads of people along with her. I don't know.
We don't want to kill people.
I don't know how she's gonna react.
We're not
the-
gonna tell her how he's dead or why he's dead. We're just going to say that we know what happened, but we wanted to drop the investigation if anything we can do to pay for that.
The DM would like to pose a question to the players and possibly bring up something that a location that they may not be thinking of. If the party is looking for maximum exposure when it comes to this particular meeting, in case things get heated, perhaps meeting in your territory might not be the best decision, as it is at this point marked as your own territory. Perhaps meeting somewhere much more open like the Rack might serve you. But that's just an idea.
Yeah, I was thinking the wreck wouldn't be a bad idea. Isn't I'm hungry? He says as he downs the last few drops of that keg.
Yeah. Sure.
Alright, let's get the move on then.
How long until dawn?
Currently, you're looking at about, I'm going to say 3 hours until dawn.
Interesting game.
And how long would it take to Jerusalem?
It will take you about an hour's travel, at most. If you're going at a relatively normal speed. If you were to pick up the pace at all, I'd fairly say you'd be able to get there within 45 to 30 minutes, depending on how quick of a pace you took up.
Oh well, let's just start moving then.
Yes, let's go.
So with that,
Oh,
you
you're
collect-
missing a horse.
Go ahead.
Are we going to drop the wagon?
Yeah. Just leave it there and then go home.
Right. Well, we had to share on one of the horses.
Yeah. Yeah. We share one horse each.
Okay, fantastic.
She may have her
Wait.
own.
But
Only
Um,
Diala
was-
needs to share with someone of us.
we'll see. I'll just hop on wherever I have space, I guess. In that case, rather than riding forward and ahead.
Okay. So,
Are we in a
as-
hurry back? Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
Oh,
Are we in a hurry back?
Not really in a hurry, but we want to get in case we get any other kindred that want to speak to you. So,
also there's not that much time left for the night, I believe.
yeah.
I want to go to ground before the sun rises.
I suppose that I could run with Batu.
You mean?
You watch as a Mongolian pupper circles around Chimeg's legs.
Oh, you can't keep up with this. Yeah, all right. I see.
No, he should be able to keep up, but I said that, that one of you could take my horse and I could change and run.
You see, Adiala, it sold itself.
All right. Sure.
Fantastic.
You could change and run. That's interesting. Yeah, cool.
I'm gonna wait for you at the gate, though. Can you find your way to the new gate?
I think I should be able to keep up.
Oh.
Maybe.
I would love to see your city entrance ceremony, but if it's all right with you guys, then I'll ride in from the south and just go find some food at the rack.
All right, do so.
I'm not sure. Could a dog keep up? Could Batu keep up with the horses?
Batu is specifically trained to be able to keep up with horses. It's taxing on him. He can't do it for do it for a full day, but he can certainly do it for at least a half a day before he starts to take levels of exhaustion. Essentially, and that's just because of Batu's particular breeding and his particular role within the herd, formally, essentially.
Alright.
Yeah.
All right. Should we go then?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Anyone need to share a horse with me?
No.
Yeah.
I think we're good.
Okay. With that, the four of you and one dog in tow make your way out of the manor proper and back into the central shotgun corridor that is the front entrance. You can see that the servants' quarters in the front entrance of the manor has most of its lights off. There's a single light on the outside that remains on, as well as two guards posted outside of it. And you can see, of course, that the guards have shifted as there's a fresh patrol that patrols the outer walls of the manor. However, the captain is still up and about and does greet you as you make your way back to the stables, where you can see that your horses have been fed, watered, and properly groomed. And if need be, also reshoed. So, with that, as the three of you mount up, the camera pans over to Chimeg, as I believe you have a plan to transform.
I do. I will make sure, however, that I follow them out a bit. So I know that there are some. Well, wait. Did all in the manor all know that? Not all, right?
From what was explained to you, the servants who serve within the main household itself, no. The servants who serve the grounds, some of them are in the know, such as the captain of the guard, the head mistress, and a few other key personnel here and there. But for the most part, out of the 30 servants that make up the main, manor servitude, most of them are not in the know.
All right, then I will walk with them for a bit so we get out of sight from people.
Okay. Fantastic. I keep saying that word. You guys make your way out of the gates and back onto the road to Jerusalem, as it were. Currently the only road that comes up into the hillsides from Jerusalem and comes to the manor itself. Sort of in that, I'd say, it has a reminiscence of that mile-long country road that oftentimes you will see in media. It's a simple dirt path, but with actually beautifully kept terrain around it. As part of you comes to believe that mayhaps the personnel within the manor don't just maintain the interior of the manor itself. They may also maintain an area outside. And that is doubled down when, as you are leaving the gatehouse, you can see that there is some fresh land that has been plowed and sowed, not too far from the walls off to the east side. Possibly a new garden for Bartholomew, or simply just increasing the amount of stocks that the locals can have, so that they don't rely on going down into Jerusalem for more food more often. But either way, you make your way down that mile-long road until finally you begin to see the roads. This road in particular interweave into the various different roads that come from all over, really, the world. As this is Jerusalem, funnily enough, is a massive trading hub here in the Middle East. So there are roads that will take you from here to Alexandria, or from here all the way to Constantinople, should one wish, that are well paved out. And as you make your way onto these various different roads that begin to intertwine very quickly, a few of them every so far having signposts that lead you to various different locations. Damascus this way, Cairo that way, Alexandria this way, so on and so forth. Eventually, you can, once again, as you cross over one of the hillsides, see the large city of Jerusalem dominating the hill that it is really resting on. And the thousands of lights of various different homes, both inside and outside of the walls. As even over the short period of time that the coterie has been here, it's very clear that Jerusalem is an ever-expanding city. And you can see that there is a new eastern quarter that is being slowly built on the outskirts of the walls, where you can see many hovels are beginning to be constructed, and also farmland renovated. Go ahead and make for me perception alertness, everybody.
Difficulty?
We're going to have standard difficulty, so difficulty 6. Excuse me. Cecilia,
Does
Jala.
aspect apply?
I would allow aspects, yes.
Yeah, it's in there.
I have a speciality as well.
Nice.
I don't think that you
If
got
it
any
supplies.
10s in there. Yeah, you didn't roll any 10s, so.
Oh, I got 2 10s in there with low light vision.
Oh, fantastic. All right.
6 successes.
Yeah, fun stuff. Serafino, perhaps you don't catch this because you're too focused on the mission. That's getting inside the city, securing yourselves, and figuring out what the next step really is. I mean, you have an idea, but there could be finer details that could be worked out. And you are sort of lost in thought as you ride, and some of you walk along. However, everyone else does notice that far off in that eastern area that is being developed, there is a rather large gathering of about 40 individuals who look like they are digging away into the night in creating a new irrigation system. And among them, Ajala in particular, as well as Chimeg. Chimeg, you wouldn't recognize the heraldry, but you'd know that it was a sign of nobility. Ajala, you would recognize the heraldry, excuse me, of one Boniface.
Oh.
Whereas Chimeg, what you would simply see is you would see a white banner that held on it the Christian cross, but an overly ornate Christian cross, almost borderline ornate Orthodox, but not quite there. It is a crucifix, so it does have Jesus upon it, and it has the lower portions just barely visible underneath the cross in blue stitching, which is very hard to make out in your current lighting situation. The letter B.
Didn't know Boniface was into archaeology and such.
Me neither.
Maybe it's a talisman of some kind, or an old object that could prove useful.
Possibly.
Was
Do
it
you
a
guys
fellow
want
kindred?
to pass by, or shall we just...
Oh, you see something here? And she looks around.
or point in the direction of the diggings?
Oh, yeah, we can pass by and see if you see. So we can introduce the new member.
Yeah.
Even before
I think so.
entering the city? Yes. That sounds like an idea.
You won't have to go far past the new gate in order to find this gathering of individuals and possibly where Boniface lies. Right, if you look on your maps where it says Notre Dame de France Hostel, right where it has the duh, in the 4 areas there is where the digging is taking place, which I will quickly mark out here with a ruler. If you can see my ruler here.
Did Shimeg transform yet? Or where are we?
Yes, I would say that Chimeg would have transformed, so I apologize. We didn't know what Chimeg would have transformed into. And how such a process would have taken place.
Well, yes, when we were out of sight of people, I would have spent 1 blood point to do Shape of the Beast. And can I describe this as
Absolutely.
I want? Alright. She will basically start, I think the way it is kind of, it looks uncomfortable, like bones are shifting, and she starts to get the more canine like features, and then after a while she just all of it condenses into a large dog, and this breed looks similar to Bato, but I think she's bigger.
Because the map of a human. Well, vampire.
Another one who can transform. Maybe you will be the one who teaches me that and not Canis, even if Canis has somewhat agreed to do that.
She will.
To be honest, sometimes
her
being a
head.
dog isn't that bad.
Canis seems to.
How would you know?
Oh, that.
At least, and she doesn't seem to have as many problems as we do.
True enough, I guess.
Alright. Then we ride.
How do I remove just 1 blood point? I
So
removed
if
all of them though.
if you go
think I
over
had
to
14.
your character sheet and you go on down to your blood pool, instead what you want to do is simply click back 1x, and it will
Oh,
remove
right,
1.
on the one.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't click on the X because that won't do anything.
No, that was what I tried to do.
Right.
Oh.
There you go. So you are all set up and you have transformed. Fantastic. Something to note as well, which I believe is in this particular power, is her clothes do not suddenly fall to the floor. Her armor does not fall to the floor either, nor her weapons or any other accoutrement she might have on her. Instead, they meld with her form itself.
And when she has transformed, her demeanor kind of changes a bit. Like when she's running next to it, it it's more like she's having fun with it. Like she's playing a bit with Batu and just running around the horses, and doesn't seem as well. Like she seems more relaxed.
She's not as stuck up.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, the scene I described earlier, with you seeing the banners, the digging, things like that, will then take place as you crest over the few hills in between both the manor and Jerusalem itself, with Jerusalem coming into sight. And Ajala, are you going to break off now while the rest of the party goes to see Boniface, or are you going to join them in their endeavor?
Since we've spotted them, I'm like, 5 more minutes can't hurt, I guess. And I'll join them for now.
Fantastic.
I'll break off after.
So with that, you head down into the low roads that begin taking you closer and closer towards Jerusalem, and make plenty of time. I'd like to ask, are any of you carrying lanterns on any of your horses or in your person, anything like that? Anything to make you more visible at night?
No.
Not me.
I think Cecilia would, because that's how people ride. She doesn't want to stick out. So.
Okay, fantastic. And would you have that attached to your horse, or is Cecilia more the "I'll hold it myself"?
I would attach it to the horse. I don't hold it myself. Then.
All right. Maybe Rose would hold it herself.
Rose would hold it herself.
Yeah, there you go.
Cecilia doesn't.
Fantastic.
I'm not in my nice dress anymore. I did change.
That brings up a good question. What is everyone in, aside from, of course, Chimeg, who is currently a large Mongolian dog? What accoutrement does everyone have on them?
All right. So Cecilia has more of this time's traveling clothes, more like. She looks very practical. She also has full armor on, and it's a composite armor, I believe. And yes, it is a composite armor. And she has a long bow on her back, and when she's riding, it actually has a stringed as well. It's also back, and she has the quiver on the side. She has a saber and a dagger and a buckler. So she looks very heavily armed and looks like to Chimeg. She looks more like a warrior now. Before she looked like a noblewoman that doesn't even lift wouldn't even lift a dagger herself. And now she looks more like a proper dressed warrior.
Do you even lift, sis?
What do you say?
Do you even lift, sis?
Yeah, exactly. And then she also covers her face with this like sand cover, so if it would be a sandstorm, she would be protected, but it's not really a sandstorm now. But it's kind of common for people to have this just on. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, it may not be a sandstorm, and it's not exactly just that time of year in Jerusalem for such events to happen. The wind can get quite fierce in Jerusalem, especially at night. While it doesn't necessarily affect the inner city unless you're in one of the deep alleyways of the upper portions of the city, closer towards Temple Mount, where you get the whistling tunnels of wind. In the low country, you still get quite a bit of sort of a, I guess I would say, miasma of dust constantly floating in the air. Always going away from the ocean, so from east to west, and usually sitting somewhere around, I'd say, roughly at about a meter's height is the most it would ever come up to. With that, and the dust that your horses pick up, you all make your way down towards this digging party that you see carrying Boniface's heraldry. As you approach, you do notice, Cecilia, quite quickly, that 3 guards do make their presence known. However, they do not approach you. You can see that there are 2 guards who are currently wielding crossbows. In fact, They also look to have very crude tower shields. They're by no means Pavese crossbowmen. However, they have sort of the old style, once again, the Roman scutum, but it looks like it's been stripped away, possibly refurbished over time, and possibly even reinforced with a thicker metal. But they seem to have that at their backs, ready to be deployed in front of them should they need it. As well as short swords. Beyond that, you have the third guard, who simply carries on himself, aside from the composite armor that he wears, a single longsword and what looks like a few daggers. Like I said, they don't approach, however they make themselves known. The two crossbowmen sort of set up at higher vantage points than the road that you're taking in. And the longswordsman sort of off the side of the road, just watching as you pass, presumably.
Yeah, if they're not like trying to intervene to talk to us, I think we would ride in.
Mm-hmm. I would like Ajala to make me a perception alertness. Heightened senses will come in here for sight, because this is relevant to Ajala.
Ajala, staring at the composite armor and looking down at his currently brown backup robe, so to speak, underneath which his composite armor is just completely mangled.
Absolutely.
Fuck.
Ajala, with those successes, for a moment you think you have just seen regular either mercenaries or regular guards that Boniface might have, until you realize that there is a bit of metal that clinks around their necks that is not just the chainmail coif that they wear. Additionally to their coif, they also have each of them a necklace which has the symbol of a black Ouroboros. A symbol of some Varangian mercenaries that Ajala has not seen in quite some time.
Varangians? Jeez. He hired. Ah, fuck, that means... Oh, never mind. Ajala's, like, sad.
As these thoughts pass through Ajala's head, you all continue to ride along until eventually you begin to intermingle with some of the more dispersed members of the digging party. Some who are at rest, taking water breaks, things like that, sitting by what lanterns they do have.
Wow.
One letting out a large amount of flatulence, which does sound like a modern-day motorcycle.
Wow.
It's too warm to close the window, sorry.
It's
yeah.
fine. It's fine. I totally get that.
After such a fast, I wouldn't want to close the window either. I'm sorry.
You can see quite a few of them gather around some of these lanterns who look to be on break. Like I said, some taking water breaks, others looking to already be falling into the pitfalls of wagering what money that they have made over their service with Boniface on dice and card games that some of the other workers have brought out to wager. As you're sort of passing through the riffraff, eventually you do see that there is a small tent that is set up. Not particularly fanciful or immaculately kept, but there sits the banner with the heraldry of Boniface upon it. And outside of the tent are three additional guards, who Ajala will recognize also have that necklace, in a bit of more of a normal composition. So short swords at their sides, spears in hand, and buckler shields strapped to their left arm. But as you make your way through the crowd and start heading in this direction, initially they do sort of tighten their formation at the entrance to the tent, and you can hear some muffled words spoken by one of them, just barely audible. Just barely, I should say, inaudible to your vampire ears over the natural hubbub of voices around you of workers talking and working away. as well as the sound of both picks and shovels working in the sand not too far from you. But a few moments later, you watch as a familiar face makes his way out of the tent. In a nightgown, you would see Boniface.
The respectful distance, I would start dismounting.
Mm-hmm.
So, Chimeg, as you watch your three companions begin to dismount at this safe distance, what are yourself and Batu doing in this entire encounter? Do you sort of stick to the outskirts of this encounter? Do you travel with the party? If so, how might the two of them be acting in this moment?
No, I think they are sticking with the party since they haven't told her anything else. And I think that she will kind of keep a step behind and, if I may, kind of like Batu moves up on one side and she moves up on the other
Absolutely.
of them.
Absolutely.
As I dismount next to, so I'm close to Chimeg, I would like whisper to her, like, I hope it's fine to present you in this form.
She cocks her head.
Maybe.
By the way, as you were
Actually-
greeted... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, maybe I will ask to go into the tent and you can show your face. Does that work?
If a dog can shrug, it would shrug.
Oh, dogs can definitely shrug. I've seen it happen several times. So, with that, Boniface doesn't wait for you to come to him. He doesn't even wait for you to fully dismount before he starts walking towards the lot of you. He pushes past his guards, who one of them attempts to interpose himself between Boniface and yourselves, but he quickly brushes that individual away, not in any sort of violent way, but just simply with a gentle brush of the hand. The individual's hand is lifted and they are pushed aside. With that, Boniface then takes his left arm and swings it behind his back. In sort of a regal pose, he comes up to the lot of you, gives the tiniest of bows that etiquette would demand it would be appropriate for people of your station, and then straightens himself before saying, "Good evening."
Good evening.
Good evening,
Nearly
Boniface.
the same. And then she said, good evening.
Fantastic. So, what brings the three of you to my little corner of the world? I do apologize if you haven't marked this as your territory, have you?
No. We did. I was
Perfect.
just about to ask. I hope we don't intrude.
No. I'm simply taking up a small venture to improve the land around Jerusalem. Not only increase the irrigation system, but also do some investigations into some claims in the area.
Sounds good. Well, we saw your banners and thought this is a good coincidence because we have brought a new member to our
Oh.
side.
Oh,
There's been someone that has joined the town, that have just come. She hasn't even gone through the gate yet.
very interesting. And you would honor me with such a first appearance. I appreciate that.
Maybe we could take it inside the tent because her
Yes,
current
yes.
form is.
His eyes sort of light up as you say form, as his brows raise, and he gives you a knowing, slight nod. Please, join me. I was, I had just finished up dinner. With that, he turns on his heel and begins walking back towards his tent, where you watch the guard that he had motioned aside before opens the tent, where you can see a bit of candlelight comes from within, and from what visuals you immediately get as the flap opens and he makes his way inside, there's a large oak table with a number of different small miniatures, by your best guess, that adorn a table. There's also a small bed that you can just see the corner of as the flap opens before he disappears under it, and the guard continues to hold that flap open for the rest of you.
If the dogs are not following, she would wave them to come. but if they're following, she would just keep walking.
Yeah, they're following.
Eventually, unless anyone would like to stay outside, you all make your way within, where you find sort of small but cozy tent setup. While it's certainly not an air-conditioned apartment, or in some cases a window-opened apartment, it does serve a purpose. It's slightly warmer in here than it is outside, as it's probably somewhere around -1 degree Celsius outside. Jerusalem nights can get quite chilly. And there is a small treasure chest off to one side of the tent, a rack for his usual armor, which you have not seen before. So what you see before you is a heavy set of chainmail with a fine black with gold trim gambeson to go underneath that seems to have a WHZ tightly knitted into the left breast pocket corner. What that stands for, you're not entirely sure. But the WH and Z are also on a what appears to be a shield, and that itself is all in gold. Beyond that, he has a finely crafted longsword and short sword that he has on weapon racks, a hand axe, as well as both a large, sort of stereotypical hospital or sergeant shield. I don't remember the name of it at the moment because your DM's mind is blanking on the name of shields of the period. And also he would have a stereotypical buckler, which looks like it has quite a few dings in it, actually, now that you look at it. You can see that it has had repair jobs over the years, as some of the metals upon it have been replaced with either higher or lesser quality, just depending on probably how quickly he wanted the repairs done, or I should say how quickly he needed it back. But you can see easily over 100 scuff and dent marks on this buckler, many of them looking like they have only recently been sort of shined out, one could say. However, clear traces of these marks are still there. Beyond that, he has a very simple bed, which is not garnished or adorned with anything fancy whatsoever. And there is the faintest circle of soil that goes around his bed. In perhaps, I want to say, trying to keep it with you guys' measurement system, maybe about 4 centimeters tall circle, in order to give you an idea of how large the circle sits off the ground. Or I should say how big the pile is of the circle. If you get what I'm saying. Anyways, your DM's being silly. Moving on. Yes. So, with that, he then returns both of his hands behind his back and sort of strolls his way around the table. Now that you have full view of the table, you can see that the miniatures on top of the table are actually a mixed variety of both wooden toy soldiers of various different eras, as well as chess pieces that are sort of being used as an odd paperweight for a map of most of the Levant. The Levant, of course, being the territory that that the Crusades have taken in their most recent crusade. So Acre, Jerusalem. Crap, my mind is blanking, and I have a map for this, so I'm going to go to that map. 1 second. And I'm actually going to bring you guys over to this map as well, as I bring you over the region map. Okay, and let me make sure the audience can see this properly as well. Alright, so those 5 territories that you see, the Kingdom of Jerusalem, the County of Tripoli, the Principality of Antioch, the County of Edessa, and the Sicilian Armenia Although the Sicilian Armenia would not be named that currently, it would be part of the Principality of Antioch at the moment. You would see these territories on this map, as well as a map that does not show the Fatimid Caliphate, but instead shows mainly the dominion of the Ayyubids, if I'm saying that correctly. Jay will, of course, slap me later and say, no, it's this way.
I plead the fifth.
But that is what is mostly shown on that map itself. While this map that I have up on screen does have a amount of detail that is somewhat comparable, there are actually small little markers that would indicate larger towns and some even smaller towns in some instances marked on the map. It's not in this style. It's more in the style that if you were to think of the dramatized Cantabrian Shakespearean drawing style, if you've ever seen it, it looks more like that. If you've never seen it, it's just fancy borders and over-dramatized text, essentially, with a mute color palette. All right. I spent too much time explaining. Go ahead, players.
All right. So, well, she is a bit secretive, but she's a friend of a friend. She's a friend of Bartholomew. And, well, she doesn't want to disclose her clan or sire yet, but I think that will not be a problem. But maybe we can see her face. And she looks over to the big dog.
It's
Yes.
heartbeat until she starts changing back.
So a moment passes as we begin to see the transformation of Chimeg. And Chimeg, to give you a quick description of Boniface, he is of European descent. He has what was a darker, almost black-brown mixed hair. However, that has been that has given away to a patch of gray, almost like a streak of gray that goes through his hair. He holds piercing blue eyes, and also a very, very strong facial structure. Not so strong that it's ridiculous, but strong, attractive. He also holds himself very regally, and as I said, he is dressed in a nightgown, which is a simple silk purple nightgown, which he has tightly wrapped around himself.
Right. Well, when she comes out of the change, she will give a slight smile and say, "Hi."
Wait.
Meet
Hello.
Chimeg.
Chimeg, it is a pleasure. He walks over to you and extends a hand to take your hand, but he's extending his hand in the flat palm manner.
All right. She will grasp the hand, I suppose.
Okay. I would like Chimeg, even though I don't know if Chimeg is going to succeed at this. In fact, I'm sure she won't. Give me a difficulty 7. This is going to be an etiquette roll, but what kind of etiquette? I would like from you a difficulty 7.
Gonna go bad.
Let's go for charisma etiquette.
Mm-hmm. And difficulty 6 or
Difficulty 7.
7? All right.
2 successes, not bad at
roll.
all. As you
More than I
see
expected.
the open palm before you, there's a tick in in Chimeg's head where, for a moment, she's kind of odded out by this until she realizes Bartholomew did something similar when you first met one another. And, of course, in that instance, you weren't as etiquetely aware of Western European culture. So when you saw it initially, you just thought it was an odd version of a handshake, perhaps even a cross-armed shake. However, Bartholomew explained to you later on, somewhere in your travels, that indeed what he was trying to do was take your hand softly and place a single kiss upon it in a greeting and both respect for beauty and other things that represents that the DM is unaware of. But with that, as a part of you goes to reach out and immediately clasp him by the elbow, instead a part of you also says, "We could do this the proper way, and I will leave it up to your discretion as to which she would do."
She would do the proper thing, but she looks very uncomfortable in it.
Fantastic. All right. So perhaps a little surprised, the rest of you watch as she looks down at his hand, and for a moment there's almost a muscular twitch that kicks in where it looks like she's going to go in for a more forceful handshake, but she quickly stops that and gently places her hand upon his, at which point he does give you the lightest of pecks before giving you your hand back and straightening himself out. Well, she's a lady as well. Fantastic.
Definitely. So we plan to go through the new gate just in a matter of moments.
Well, wonderful, wonderful. Well, it's been certainly interesting having this development. I apologize. Chimeg, I believe you said your name was?
Yes, Chimeg.
You may call me Boniface. Well, everyone at work calls me Boniface, shall we say. But you in particular, as well as Cecilia, may call me Boniface Deleuze.
Cecilia nod.
It
And-
is nice to meet you.
Yeah, for Cecilia's knowledge, this is the first time you've ever heard his title. So, I would not want to hold up such exciting ceremonies as an entrance within the gates. Will be joining us, or perhaps is unsure and might be going through Jaffa, or...
I think she's... Well, you can speak for yourself, I guess.
My apologies.
I believe that I was going through the same gate as the rest did, and she looks
Interesting.
between the others.
Interesting indeed. Well,
Marvelous idea.
absolutely.
She's also actually informed about the current conflict that is happening, so she's not
Wonderful.
being lured in.
Yes.
A
We
war,
would
is
not
it?
want to, lure you in under false pretenses or anything like that. Some do, and some practice. That is not our way.
And
But
I
yes,
noticed-
there's a war.
I noticed you have prepared your weaponry. It looks well used.
Oh, this. I appreciate your looking upon this as weaponry. No, this is just my private arms that I keep amongst myself. It's nothing grandiose or anything like that, but it does serve its purpose and has seen much use over the ages, unfortunately, as conflicts tend to be. But I'm sure there will be plenty of time to reminisce and bore you with hundreds of stories of such deeds. Is there any service that I could be of to all of you?
Is there any news about the war?
Yes, in fact there is. Upon the borders of the county of Edessa, there is rumors of gathering of troops, last I heard. The exact numbers not entirely known, but their heading looks to be from the Euphrates to the Tigris, or Tigris. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, DM saying that. But Boniface will use the proper pronunciation of that river. Staying along the border, only dipping in when they are in the most desperate of situations for water supply, it would appear. Their final destination isn't entirely known, however, from what information we have been able to gather, it's roughly about 4,000 men heading to, at least going through, Raqqa. Again, that's your DM pronouncing something horribly wrong, if it's pronounced differently. And that is R-U-Q-Q-A. You'll see that going back through the Euphrates once you go through the county of Edessa on the map. So in order to give you guys a bit more of an idea of where he's talking about, they've sort of been spotted around here in the mountains, heading through the Euphrates, coming down past this river, making their way to the Tigris, and it's believed that they're going to head to Raqqa.
Alright.
Their exact, as I said, destination unknown, their purpose unknown, but it is a shifting of troops. It could be anything from a mortal shifting to a kindred shifting. That is entirely unclear at this moment. I also have news that the port city of Ayla, to the south, within the within that area of the Red Sea, I believe it's called, has been raided by Bedouin tribesmen.
Okay. Nothing too alarming then.
Nothing extremely alarming. However, this could all just be diversions for something else that's going on. I have no way of knowing. What I do know of our own forces is that the Lioness has gathered some 5,800 new additional soldiers to our cause, and currently makes her way for Karak. To what ends I have not been made aware of, as her childer has not exactly been forthcoming with information.
That's unfortunate.
Indeed. How about the kindreds in Jerusalem? Has there been any movement there?
What can I say? Before you all arrived within Jerusalem, Jerusalem was more of a meeting grounds, while if you kindred resided within the city, many in fact held territory outside in the surrounding villages, so on and so forth, as the territory itself is split into almost a dozen sub-regions. From what we can tell, a lot of kindred are staying within their sub-regions, not many venturing back into Jerusalem as of late. Council meetings have been sparse. They have happened, though. Only a handful of members have deigned to actually attend. So I would say communication's breaking down.
Alright.
Okay.
That sounds bad if a war is coming.
Very, very much so. Also, while the vote to secure the Diet of Olives that the Lioness has declared, that the three of you took part in, certainly went a long way with winning over the Jewish faction within the city. I can't say that there is any definitive answer as to whether or not they have officially joined us yet. They have, of course, service their usual tithes to both sides. And it's the usual lines of communication. Not much said, but not much against or for. I feel as though perhaps some major event might need to happen within Jerusalem to fully win over their faction. And Alexis is sort of spearheading their ideology, who they will go with. And as Alexis is neutral, I believe the Jewish will stay neutral. Unless someone can go behind Alexis's back and slowly begin to speak with those members of the Jewish Council.
Interesting.
Alright. Is there any short-term plans for we kindred here in Jerusalem to do, or do we have to wait for the Lioness to declare anything?
Short-term plans are to, well, as one would expect, prepare, reinforce, do what you can to bolster the overall effort, as it were. And he sort of gives an exasperated look as he says the word effort. Beyond that, make what allies you can, even if they are on the other side. Oh, I should also mention, we haven't seen Persephone in a while.
You think something can happen to her?
Not sure, it's just odd of her to disappear, really. One moment. Excuse yourself, sir! You hear him yell out of the tent. Yes, it's quite odd of her. She's usually out and about, either being, a barmaid, a nun. You know how she is. Instead, the last I saw her was 2 days ago. She had a brief discussion with Mara within the rack about some concern that Mara had, some plight that Mara had. I am not entirely sure, as while Mara officially is a member of the Christian faction, she is more in the... Well, she's more like the Jewish. She's neutral within the Christian faction. She has not taken up to agreeing to either side. Although I will admit we could use her gargoyles.
Definitely. Well, I can take a swing by her place and see if I can find Persephone there.
I would appreciate that. I'm a little busy wrapping up personal projects, as it were. Also, speaking of Mara, I do believe that I talked to her very briefly. She said that her sister had reached the Byzantine Empire. I wasn't entirely aware why her sister would be arriving within the city. However, apparently she is currently in the process of, she said, making her way to Constantinople. She's probably 3 days out from Constantinople, from which she will take a boat here. But yeah, it's a bit of information that I learned in regards to Mara. Oh yes, and I believe that they're well, oddly enough, there's been a bit of a stir within the Catholic order in the Vatican. News of monsters dwelling in the dark, yada yada, such tales. How they could believe such things exist, he gives a smirk as he says so. Who knows?
Yeah.
But,
Inquisition ever growing.
well, something to keep an eye on.
No, definitely.
All right.
Apparently a particular bishop from Durham has been the one stirring the pot, as it were, back in the Vatican.
Any new kindred that has come in on our side, or maybe some that has come back?
A few that have come back, but only briefly from what I'm able to tell. They have not made any official announcements or plans, at least to my knowledge, to be here for very long. Yes, no, it almost slipped my mind. Yes, no, speaking of kindred, there is the Order of the Black Cross. The Lioness has taken out a fair bit of coinage from many of the northern Christian lords to fund their little crusade southward. I'm not entirely sure when their order will be arriving. However, I know that the request for their assistance has at least been sent out. I believe the ship carrying the messenger left the port of Acre not but maybe 4 hours ago, judging by the time.
Well, that seems in order.
True.
Take that as you may. Either way, I have taken up quite enough of your time. I apologize. Busy. If there's anything else you would like to discuss, perhaps we could sit down and have a meal sometime.
That sounds wonderful. Yeah, well, the night is soon over and still things to do, so I hope you have a good rest of the evening.
You as well.
Ship
You
out.
as well. And best of luck, Chimig, on your journey within the gates.
Thank you.
And Cecilia turns to Chimek. Maybe want to be a dog when we leave this camp?
How far is it to the gate?
From where you guys are, hold on, let me take you right back over the Jerusalem map. Da-da-da-da-dum. So, as I pointed out earlier, I'll quickly use my ruler if you guys can see my ruler. You guys are, I'd say, right about here on the map where the tent is. The entire work area is taking up about these 4 sections here. So it's not very far. You probably have only about a 2-minute ride before you would arrive at the new gate.
I think I'll manage from here.
Are the guards outside in the know? She looks to Boniface when you ask that.
They know not to ask questions.
But they will not cause an issue that really
I'll
went in with
make
dogs.
sure of that.
Perfect. Thank you. And then Tila will start walking out.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
As you all begin to walk out, he actually follows you. And as he follows you, and it looks like one of the guards is about to raise a question, you watch as he quickly goes within his coin purse and takes out what looks like 2 coins. You're not exactly sure of the amount. Places it within the guard's hand, closes the guard's palm around those coins, and looking him in the eye, simply says, "Forget." Goes to the next guard, "Forget," as he does the same, and to the last guard, he does once again the 2 coins, closing the palm, looking into the eye. "Forget." And then he
Coin solves a
takes
lot
his
of
leave.
shit.
Yeah, all the coins we exchanged there.
How much time do we have left in the night?
I'd say about 2.
Riding to Jerusalem, having that conversation, you've probably got an hour, 20 minutes at most.
Yeah.
Yeah, hunting will probably be short-lived. If I'm gonna hunt it, preferably in our own territory to get home quickly.
There is always the option of doing the riskier option of hunting during the day. It is a choice that you have, however, that does lead to the possible exposure to one's, or should I say, to other ghouls within the city, who might catch sight of
Exactly.
you.
As soon as you set foot
I wanna
outside,
mix it up.
Canis is looking at you, wagging her tail. Possibly.
During the day, probably not.
Actually, probably not
You never know.
You never know, but probably not.
like during the day, there's like 4 other dogs, looks very like Canis, and it's like, oh, that's her ghoul party that's walking around, keeping her updated. All right.
They're called the Canis
Yeah.
Pack. They just roam around and
Canis
follow
Pack.
vampires in case they happen to see one during day.
She gold like 20 dogs. She's in charge of Jerusalem.
He's the secret ruler.
She runs these streets. All right, moving on.
As they walk out of there, when they are kind of out of earshot from everyone, Shimig will just say, "That's such a strange. That seems so unhygienic.
Which part?
Going around kissing people's hands."
Pleasantries.
Sometimes we make sacrifices for the greater good. And we don't want to be barbarians.
And we don't want to die young, also.
That sounds like the barbaric option, but sure.
Well,
Joe
I'll
just
teach you
shrugs.
all I can about manners. You will make a good noble woman of you yet.
And she will continue walking.
You all
And her
continue.
word seems kind of off because her gear looks like a warrior, but she's almost like walking like a noble woman.
A little priss in your step. So you all continue along, make your way to the new gate, and you can see that the gates have been fully opened. While there are still roughly about 4 guards who do man the gatehouse itself, they have fully opened it. They're not checking the few stragglers who do make them their way into the gates or out of the gates as they go by. You can even see that a few of the guards look to be in the late stages of tiredness, one even leaning heavily against his spear and making the odd snorting noise that might be confused for snoring, but he would never, ever, ever admit to that. And with that, you quietly make your way within Jerusalem.
As we move through the gate, I want to look for how they know that a new kindred is passing through the gate.
Absolutely. Make me
Yes,
a
no one actually answered
perception
that.
awareness.
All right. Difficulty.
Difficulty 6.
Can I make that one too?
Oh,
I don't
absolutely,
wanna
yeah. Anybody can make that. 3 successes.
I have a specialty, but see, that's just if you get the 10
If you
or
get 10s,
specialty.
yeah, the specialty
Alright.
comes in. Serafino, once again, lost in thought with the flood of new information that you have just received from Boniface. You yourself begin to try and keep an eye out for any obvious indicators of as your first night through the walls, you were greeted by the visage of both Canis and Habiba on the top of the walls watching over you. Nothing so obvious this time around. Chimeg, it's almost impossible to see any clear sign of a watcher until about a good 10 feet through the gate. Oh, I said feet. You guys...
We play Dungeons and Dragons as well.
You
You
know.
play Dungeons and Dragons, you get it, yeah. About 10 feet through the gate. Shimeg, you would notice that off in the southern corner of one of the alleyways, well, I should say off towards the south, there's an alleyway that sort of runs almost parallel with the new gate itself. In that alleyway, you do see a pair of lightly red glowing eyes, and the hunched back, disfigured form of an individual leaned up against a crate, watching and making slow, methodical movements. With 3 successes, you notice that this individual has an ink and quill and a piece of parchment on top of a long discarded wine barrel that he is writing across. And that individual is more than likely a Nosferatu.
Does it seem like he has noticed me and like know what I am?
Absolutely. He doesn't notice you immediately. At first, it looks like he takes note of Ajala, Serafino, and Cecilia. But noticing that you're trailing, even keeping up with them, perhaps even having light, pleasant conversation as you go through the gates, depending upon, of course, all of you, he would quickly take note of your presence.
I meet his gaze and hold it for a more than a heartbeat.
Okay. I would like you, in that case. Are you doing this in sort of an aggressive way, or just I know you there, motherfucker, kind of way?
More like I know you're there, motherfucker.
Okay, great, fantastic. No rolls are
Maybe
necessary.
a hint to aggression.
A
More
hint
like,
of aggression?
who are you looking at me kind of way, but not like...
The DM would like to ask if you would be willing to do an intimidation roll as we lose Serafino.
All
As
right.
clearly you have scared him away. So let's see here. Let's have you go with your choice of either manipulation or strength intimidation.
That's a strength place. What was the ability?
Manipulation or strength intimidation, which is going to be under. Excuse me. It's going to be under your talents.
Yes, and difficulty 6 or...
Difficulty 6. And I'm going to roll a opposing
no.
check for him. Do you have any specialities?
No, I don't.
So you might still get this. He has a very low dice pool.
So
2 successes. He acknowledges that you do give him a good stare back, and from the shadows, still being able to see the faint glow of those red eyes, you watch as he gives the faintest of winks in your direction.
she's not pleased with that and continue following the rest.
Fantastic. With that, we will go ahead and take our break, and we will be right back with more Children of the Cup. See you soon! Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Children of the Cup. I am your DMGM storyteller, Forgotten Dreams, and I am joined once again by this lovely cast of people who are here to deal with my torment for the next hour or so. Ladies and gentlemen, as you make your way through the gate, Chimeg, you do in fact spot that individual. You have your glower. He winks back. Where would the party like to go from there? Does Chimeg do anything?
No, she will take that as a loss and be a bit upset about it, but she follows.
Darn, I've been defeated in my stare down.
Indeed.
Fantastic.
Very unfortunate, but I don't notice this bastard.
Very, very unfortunate. But other than that, is the plan just to go straight towards the Painted Lady at this hour?
It's getting pretty late, I think.
Or Cecilia.
Well, we would have to stable the horses, preferably.
Yeah.
You could pay for stabling at the Painted Lady, and presumably they would have someone take your horses down to the nearest stable and then let you know which stable that was. So you don't have to necessarily go to find a stable each time. This isn't New York. You don't have to pay for parking immediately or go to jail.
That is fine then. Just go to the Painted Lady for Cecilia.
Fantastic. Is Ajala going to break off?
I'm probably gonna step off the horse, like, on our way there when we reach basically the border of our territory, and be like, would you be okay with stabling the horses?
Sure.
Alright, I'll meet you at the lady, I guess, in whatever long this might take. And he'll leave the horse with the rest, and he'll go on the prowl, basically, in the very early morning.
Fantastic. Are you going to go your usual ruffian sort of route? Go ahead and make
that
me
seems the easiest at this moment.
Make me your choice of strength brawl or dexterity melee. And I would like to know if you're going to kill the individual.
Preferably not killing, as in I've left plenty of corpses recently. And Dex melee should be somewhere. Dex melee modifiers 0, difficulty 6, I'm guessing. It's better than difficulty of 9.
7 successes. Easily you are able to find a target within the alleyways of your domain as you begin to clean up the streets. However, with 7 successes, you would also know, you would also realize that it's becoming harder to hunt in your territory for such prey. The more and more Jala has ventured out, the more and more the streets have essentially been cleaned in this section of Jerusalem of such ragamuffins. So perhaps in the future, while Ajala does still have prey left, he might want to seek
consider
new
other
grounds or other options. Yes.
Yeah.
So, how many blood points would you like to take?
How many can I take?
Well, I have a bit of a clarification on this. So you can take 2 safely. If you take 3, the person will not die. They will just be out for a very long time, potentially up to a week's worth of time. And that will be super suspicious to whoever they're related to, so on and so forth. Especially the authorities, if the authorities find them and they're like, this guy's super anemic. Not that they would know what anemic is, it would just be they take him to a doctor and they find something weird. And that might lead to future investigations into such things happening, especially on a repeated occurrence. And if you take 4, there's a high chance that the individual will die of blood loss.
I'll take it at 2 for the time being, begrudgingly at 2.
Okay, begrudgingly at 2. Alright, so Ajala, you go ahead and recover 2 of your blood pool points. Meanwhile, we focused on Chimeg as you go through these various city streets and you are hit by the wafting scents of various different stalls selling breads, various different candies, fresh meats, anywhere from fish from the ocean to the freshest of camel, straight off the camel's hump. a variety of different smells, sensations, herbs, spices, beautiful trinkets and jewelry on display through the various different market stalls. Some of which are, well, I should say many of which are actually beginning to close up as it's getting closer and closer to morning time, and making way for these stalls that have sort of, at this point, claimed territory to these areas during the morning hours. That process is also beginning to happen. But as you are beginning to be overwhelmed by this large amount of sensations coming towards you, I would like for you to make me... Let's see here. I would like for you to make me a check at difficulty 6, and that check is going to be... it is going to be Wits Empathy, difficulty 6.
Alright.
Strongest roll.
Think gonna be good.
The weakest of rolls. What do we got? Alright, we've got 2
Two
successes.
successes with 2 die.
Wow! Chimag is on a roll. With 2 successes. As Chimag knows, there's a portion of her memory, a large portion of her memory, that has gone missing. She remembers essentially muscle memory at this point of her past. Certain actions she used to take. There's the reminiscent taste of memories, almost, in her mind, where there are brief blurs and flashes of events that transpired. And as you are being overwhelmed with the sensations of the city, you do have a slight remembrance. As you find yourself stepping through the city streets with the coterie one moment, and the next your mind is flooded with the sensations of walking through the burning streets of an unknown city. Hundreds of Western Europeaners lying dead or dying at your feet. The sound of the beating hooves of hundreds of horses going down various different streets and alleyways, the cries of people all around you, and the ever-burning fire in all directions except south, where you march from. Off in the distance, there is the citadel of whatever city or place this is. And hung high upon that citadel is a slowly burning, ripped, torn, and slightly still hanging with arrows, torn flag of Lithuania. And as Chimag's eyes drift up to that flag, you watch as a man, early 20s, very short, cropped mohawk, with 2 long braids that sort of hang independently off the sides of his head. The gap in between his braids and his mohawk very clearly deeply shaven all the way down to the scalp, covered in a mix of mud and blood, in hide armor, with a single brass plate, circular brass plate, where his heart would be, and holding a short sword with a small shield strapped to his left arm. He watches a familiar yet unfamiliar figure kicks a small girl off the side of a citadel wall. And as the girl falls, your eyes almost seem to focus on her. As you can see, she wears a fine, elegant blue and purple dress. A noble. And just before her body smacks across the citadel rocks below, the memory fades. You don't know what brought on this sensation. You just know that one moment you were standing there with the coterie, the next filled with emotions and sensations that seem oddly familiar yet so foreign. And when your senses return to you, you find yourself still in stride with the coterie, as if nothing has happened. For you, quickly, you watch as the coterie begin to tie their horses to various different posts in front of a building which simply has a wooden lacquered sign that says The Painted Lady. The doors to this inn wide open, boisterous laughter coming from within, the sound of dice and coin hitting table, and the smell of stale ale breaching the air and making its way to your nostrils.
I shake my head then to shake the memory away and follow the rest.
As the rest of you step within the Painted Lady, what would you like to do?
I walk over to the bar.
You walk over to the bar and you see a familiar bar patron sitting there. One that recently had a bit of business to take care of. Someone who only knows you by the moniker of Rose, currently with his back turned towards you.
Is he in the Painted Lady?
He is in the Painted Lady and not in the Slaughtered Ox. He
Is he
wears
yet
his
turned?
armor. He has not turned. His back clearly to you, but from that smell, the size and shape of him, and the few strands of hair that you can see underneath his felt hat, that is a very familiar looking individual.
Cecilia turns around. And Serafina, you're there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fix a room for She-Meg and fix the horses. I just remembered I couldn't find Persephone. And she walks out.
Okay. Alright, I'll face the bartender. Hi, can I get a room for my friend, please?
Sure thing, yeah. 4 copper.
Yeah, sure. There you go.
With that, he slides over the room key, slides the money towards himself and into a small box, gives you a bit of a nod, and goes back to cleaning a mug.
Alright.
She-Meg, just as soon as you step within this doorway and begin to take in the atmosphere, you watch as Cecilia goes up to the bar, looks like she's going to say something, turns around, says something to Serafino, and immediately walks past you and out the door.
I look after her and then look to Serafino. Why is everyone disappearing?
Everyone has their own business to attend late at night, I guess. I don't know. Cecilia needs to do something. Here's the keys to your room, though. It is upstairs. If you go through those stairs on the right. And I'm just gonna go put the horses back and the chariot. But if you wanna go for a drink before bed, it's fine.
I believe you left the cart at the manor.
Oh yeah, the cart. Yeah, just the horses. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
No worries. And I'll go back and leave She-Meg alone for a bit while I go put the horses in the stable.
Absolutely, yeah. So She-Meg, you are left alone within the entrance hall to the Painted Lady as Serafino hands you the key, says the few words that he does, makes his way back down the stairs of the inn, goes over to the post with the various different horses and begins to untie their reins, as you are left with a swarm of unfamiliar faces, laughing, drinking, playing the night away, some having more erotic encounters, but in the rarer number, it looks like tonight. What does She-Meg do as she is suddenly left alone, and you hear the panting breath of Batu underneath you?
I look around for a moment, taking the room in, and then sighs, and I'll try to find the room, I suppose.
You make your way upstairs and find your way into a slightly worn, well, I shouldn't say slightly, a heavily worn hallway. Its floors comprised of wood, its walls comprised of wood, and its doors comprised of reinforced wood. You can see that the hallways themselves have had several scuff marks and the ragged wear and tear of hundreds of travelers going through here, as the wood is not only chipped, cracked, and splintered in some places, but even looks as though it has gradually over time become 2 or 3 shades lighter than the rest of the wood surrounding it. But with ease, you make your way down the hall and eventually find yourself to your room, which for the party's note-keeping sake is next to Cecilia's.
Right.
As you make your way in the room... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I will walk inside. Is there a window in the room?
There is a window in the room. You have an alleyway window that would not directly interact with the sun, as instead, as you come through the room, you can see that there's a simple bed off to the left. Not particularly a harsh bed, not particularly a comfortable bed, sort of in the middle, but not quite the middle, or on the lower middle side, one could even say. A simple writing desk, a small stool, a small armoire for keeping your clothings and such, and also a singular window with what looks like a heavily damaged latch on it. And there are some very crude, slightly rusted railing systems set up so that if one should wish to put a curtain in place, they could. However, you aren't sure if it's entirely necessary, as you look out the window and are immediately staring at a taller building not too far from your building. As you can tell that your window, in fact, looks into an alleyway.
All right, and there's no shutters on the window.
There are no shutters on these windows, no.
All right. Should we look out the window, and how long is it still to sunrise? I do have celestial attunement.
At this point, you have a good 45 minutes.
45 minutes, all right. Yeah, that sounds... Do I think I would be able to go hunting on that time?
It all depends on your hunting style, one could say. If you're looking to break into a home and sneak to someone's bedroom while they sleep and feed upon them, that perhaps is not available to you unless you literally jump through the window of the nearest home and do so, but that could cause quite the ruckus. If you're looking for your midnight snack in an alleyway with a ruffian, I'm afraid to say the pickings might find themselves slim unless you roll very well. If you're looking for the odd traveler making their way through the night, that might be a little easier to come by, especially if you're willing to dine on the innocent, if you even consider anyone innocent. And if you're simply looking to smack anyone, even possibly a lone guard over the head and drag them into an alleyway and feed, that is more on the plentiful side, although comes with its own unique dangers.
All right, I will prepare to hunt, so even if I don't finish the hunt today, then at least I have prepared for it. So I will close my door and
It does have a simple
make sure
lock.
I'll make sure that Batu is inside as well. And I will sit down on the floor and remove my braids, and I have just simple ribbons in it now to just keep it in place, basically to keep the braids. And I will take them out and then braid them with this time with blue ribbons in them that trails through the whole braid. And as I do this, I will think of the new darker part of me that I received, and I will prepare myself for the hunt. and spend some time in meditation, I suppose, with the beast.
Fantastic. Would your animal companion join you in any way during this ritual?
I think so. She would want him to be near, so either next to her or like with his head in her lap or something like that.
Okay, fantastic. So the camera watches as you go through meticulously this ritual, as it were, to begin the process of the hunt, and to make true preparations for what is to come. And I'd say by the time all of that is done, you've got a good, I'll be nice, 30 minutes before dawn.
Right. Then she will head out again and, yeah,
Will
at
she
least
take the
look
stairs,
at the
or
ground.
will she simply jump into the alleyway? You are only on the second story. You could easily jump down.
I think I will jump through the window, and I will
Fantastic.
tell Batu to wait for her.
All right. Very quickly, I would like, just in cases, for you to make me a strength brawl check against the broken latch of the window, as this could end up in a completely borked window.
Strength brawl. And difficulty 6.
Difficulty 6, yeah. 3 successes. With, as if it weren't even an obstacle, you take a look at the locking mechanism for the window, quickly judge the strength of it, and in the back of your mind, something just says, fuck it, let's do it. You grab onto the latch and quickly yank it up and twist. And as you yank it up and twist, not only do you successfully open the window without causing any additional damage, you actually manage to, well, straighten the lock so that it's no longer bent horribly and looking like it's in rough condition. It'll probably last quite some time now, as long as no knucklehead comes along and does anything horrible to your window. But with that, there is the lightest of squeaks before the latch is undone and the window slides open with ease.
Alright, and I will drop out the window. I will check so that no one is directly looking.
Go ahead and make me a perception alertness. Success. Is there a speciality in there?
Yes, eye for details.
Eye for details. Yeah, absolutely. So that'll bring you to 2 successes. Excuse me. With that, you do the classical look left, check, check, look right, check, check, and with one fell swoop, you make your way out of the window, plummeting down towards the ground below, and make me a dexterity athletics. Or better yet, a dexterity stealth. Four successes, possibly more if you have specialities. Well enough.
No, I don't.
So, we don't just see Chimeg leap out of a window and hit the dirt below. Chimeg leans out the window, looks at the building across, looks at your own building, judges the materials that the two of them are made out of, looks down in the alleyway and sees that it would make a bit of a thump if you landed down there, but it wouldn't be the loudest, but somebody in the street might hear it. So Chimag decides to go for something a little more riskier. Tying your shoes down tight. Or I should say, lacing your shoes down tight. You quickly begin to slowly slip your legs out the window. Hold on to the window sill and lower yourself ever so slightly before placing your legs firmly against the wall, and once you have a firm placement, kicking off of your wall and placing a hand on the opposite building to push yourself back towards the inn wall again and almost reversed bunny hop down the side of the two buildings until finally, when you come down to the bottom and right before you're about to make that thudding sound that could possibly be heard from the streets, you can see that there is a bit of a pile of rags and cloth in one corner that's sort of rotted away a bit, but might serve as enough padding, and you aim for that. And with a lightest of thump, you land on top of them. Maybe even a mouse couldn't have heard you if it was standing right next to you.
Right. Alright, and then I will head out into... Well, I will keep kind of close, because I don't really know where the area that I'm... Well, that I should feed in is, but I am aware that... Well, I shouldn't feed outside of it.
So how far away would you say she goes at the most? You're looking to cover maybe a city blocks area?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe just like 100 meters or something like that. I will try to keep within.
Okay. And in that case, well, the immediate thing you notice as you begin to travel down the alleyway is there's what looks like a days-old, undisturbed pile of oddly shaped dirt in this alleyway. You're not sure what that means, but you quickly move past it without making a single sound. And as you go down the alleyways, I'd like to ask, how's she looking to do this? Brick over the head, punch to the face, sneak into a house?
I think she's more looking to... She wants to find someone who seems to be in a somewhat good mood. And I think she just wants to find someone, especially like in a more of an alleyway, and attack them there. Not looking to hurt anyone.
I'll let you make me a perception expression roll. Looking for someone on the jovial side.
Expression, what was the attribute?
Perception.
Perception, alright.
0 successes. You don't find jovial. What you do find is drunk. And drunk could be close enough.
That works.
As you quickly, as you make your way down 1, 2, 3 alleyways at the most, there is an individual. I'd like you to roll me a 1d4 real quick.
Sorry.
4. Tonight is the night of nights, for you have found yourself a local noble in fine decor, passed out drunk in an alleyway. His horse, a few feet away from him, simply nomming away at what you might suspect is some rotten hay.
I will walk by the horse and give it a pat. And talk to it and say, well, seems like your owner is in a bit of a predicament.
As you say
And then
that,
I will...
You come around the side of the horse and you can see the owner indeed is in quite a predicament, as his left foot seems to be still trapped partially within the stirrups of the saddle.
I will remove the foot from the stirrup and say to the horse, I suppose you can go and do what you like. And then I will feed on the man.
Fantastic. How much are you looking to take?
I will just take 2, but I do have efficient digestion. So I think if I take 2, I get 3 then, right?
Yes. For every 2 points of blood that you consume, you get an extra dot.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So with that, you end up recovering 3 points of blood.
Right.
As you quickly find the individual that you drink from, not only a noble who's drunk in an alleyway, also a noble with sanguine blood, as the rush of life, excitement, possibly some other exciting emotions for a nobleman drunk off his butt and looking to find a companion would have. It all comes by in a blur of the sweetest taste you've ever tasted before. And just as you think it's about to fade, you feel the slightest buzz as the alcohol hits your bloodstream as well. And I think that is where we are going to call this session. We'd like to thank you all so much for coming out. We greatly appreciate each and every one of you, and we will see you guys on the next episode of Children of the Cup. And yay! G-Mac got to do things! Woo! It only took 3 episodes to get to Jerusalem.
3 months later.
Immediate time skip. Yeah. So we will see you guys next time. Adios.
Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.